Let me be clear, right from the start. When a woman acts warm one moment and distant the next, it's not random. That sudden shift in energy isn't some glitch in her personality. It's a deliberate test. And here's the painful truth. Most men fail it. They fail because they react in the worst possible ways, chasing harder, begging for reassurance, or drowning her in endless explanations. Every one of those actions kills attraction on the spot. When a woman pulls away, she's not just reacting to something you said or did. She's measuring your frame. She's checking if you can hold your ground without crumbling under emotional pressure. The moment you panic, double text, or shower her with desperate compliments, you've exposed yourself as needy. And nothing destroys desire faster than desperation. Think of it like a poker game. If you reveal your hand too soon, you've already lost. She wants to see if you can stay steady, calm, and unshaken when her behavior shifts. If you crack, she'll start seeing you as weak, and attraction will fade away. This is where Stoicism comes in, not as some dry philosophy from the past, but as a living mindset. It's about being centered, grounded, and in control of yourself, no matter how unpredictable she becomes. It's not about playing games with her, it's about mastering yourself. In this video, I'll break down 3 powerful steps to regain her interest without begging, pleading, or chasing. By the end, you'll know exactly how to respond to hot and cold behavior in a way that makes her curious again and reminds her you're a man worth pursuing. But before we dive in, tell me your name, where you're from, and what relationship challenge you're facing, so I and this community can help you. Now, let's begin. Step 1. Stop reacting. Start observing. Step 1 is the hardest for most men because it goes against every instinct you've been taught. Stop reacting. Start observing. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But this single shift can completely change the way she sees you. When a woman begins acting hot and cold, your natural urge will be to react immediately. She doesn't reply to your message all afternoon. And before you know it, you've fired off another text. She seems distant at dinner. And you blurt out, "What's wrong? Did I upset you?" You think you're solving the problem. But in reality, you're walking into the trap that destroys attraction every time. Because here's the truth, reacting emotionally hands over all your power. It signals to her that her behavior dictates your state of mind. She pulls back, and suddenly your mood collapses. She acts affectionate, and you light up again, unknowingly. You've placed the control panel of your emotions in her hands, and once she realizes how easily she can push your buttons, 2 things happen, neither of them good. Either she loses respect for you, or she continues testing you harder just to see how far she can push. Both outcomes weaken your position. So what's the alternative? You become the calm observer. Now, being an observer doesn't mean ignoring her completely or pretending she doesn't matter. It means you slow down. You stop rushing to fill every silence or explain every shift. You watch. You collect data. You begin to study her patterns the way a scientist studies an experiment. Ask yourself, what triggers her warmth? What triggers her distance? Is it stress from work? Is it something that happens when plans change? Or is it simply her way of checking if you're steady or weak, instead of reacting like a defendant on trial? constantly defending your innocence. You take the role of a detective. A defendant is desperate to prove he's right every time an accusation is thrown his way. Our detective doesn't rush. He collects clues, holds them quietly, and waits until the bigger picture reveals itself. When you choose the role of a detective, you remain steady. And that steadiness is far more attractive than any frantic explanation could ever be. Let me give you a picture. Imagine you text her in the morning. She doesn't reply until late at night. And when she does, the response is short. Maybe just one word. Most men panic. They fire back with 3 messages. Why didn't you answer? Are you mad? Did I do something wrong? That reaction screams insecurity. But the calm observer notes it and moves on. You don't bring it up. You don't send more texts. You carry on with your day, focused on your priorities. That silence communicates volumes. Then maybe, the next day, she's overly warm and affectionate. You note that too, and over time, you start seeing a pattern emerge. Perhaps her distance appears after you cancel plans. Perhaps it shows up when she's overwhelmed with personal stress. Or maybe it has nothing to do with you at all. By not reacting, you give yourself the space to see what's truly happening instead of creating drama out of your assumptions. This calmness changes the entire dynamic. Most men fuel her hot and cold behavior with emotional reactions, feeding into the game. But when you don't take the bait, she suddenly feels like she's playing against someone who refuses to play along. And that in itself is mysterious. That mystery is powerful enough to reignite her curiosity. Here's the paradox. The less you react, the more she starts to react. The steadier you remain, the more she starts questioning her own behavior. Your calmness forces her to reconsider her approach. This doesn't mean you become robotic or cold. It means you train yourself to value observation over reaction. You begin to respond strategically, not emotionally. And you'll notice something fascinating. The very steadiness you maintain becomes the magnet that pulls her back in. So in this first step, the assignment is clear. Keep your emotions steady. Observe more than you respond. Hold your frame no matter how unpredictable she becomes. When you master this, you stop being the man who is pulled like a puppet on strings. And you become the man who cannot be easily shaken. And that shift alone is enough to change the entire story of attraction. Step 2. Pull back twice as hard. Step 2 is where most men collapse. Because it goes against everything you've been conditioned to believe about winning a woman back. Pull back twice as hard. Here's the reality when she begins to pull away. Your instinct is to close the distance. You start reaching out more often, stacking compliments, suggesting spontaneous meetups, or trying to remind her of how good things used to be. You think you're repairing the connection, but in her eyes, you're doing the opposite. Every time you reward her withdrawal with more attention, you confirm one thing: your approval depends on her behavior. It's like giving candy to a child when they ignore you. What lesson does that teach? That ignoring you earns rewards. It encourages more of the very behavior you want to end. So what do you do instead? You reverse the script. You pull back even further, not as a childish game or a cruel punishment, but as a reflection of self-respect. If she takes 2 steps back, you take 3. If she takes hours to reply, you let your reply take even longer. If she cancels plans, you don't scramble to reschedule. You leave the space open and keep moving forward with your own life. This is the part where I have to call out the myth. Most men have been sold. You've been taught that persistence proves your worth, that the harder you chase, the more you demonstrate loyalty. But let's be honest, that's not persistence. That's desperation in disguise. You're not fighting for her. You're begging for someone who is actively showing less interest. That's not strength. That's submission. Wake up. A man who values himself doesn't need to campaign for affection. He doesn't compete for the bare minimum of attention. He knows that love and respect, if they are real, should be given freely, not extracted through effort. And this is the paradox when a woman realizes she can't rattle your world by pulling away. Her attraction begins to shift back toward you. Women are magnetized to men who are hard to shake. Men who remain composed when others would collapse. When she notices you slipping just beyond her reach, the dynamic flips. Instead of you wondering, why is she distant? She's suddenly asking herself, why isn't he chasing me? Did I push too far? Let's ground this in an example. Suppose she's been giving you short, cold replies all week. Most men would either confront her, why are you acting like this, or fire off multiple texts in a row, hoping to re-spark the warmth. But the man who understands step 2 does something entirely different. He goes quiet. He focuses on his gym session, his work project, his friendships. His attention flows into his mission, not into chasing her approval. And as soon as she notices the silence, curiosity creeps in. She starts wondering if she miscalculated. That is when she's most likely to lean back in, not when you're smothering her with endless attention. Now, it's important to be clear. Pulling back isn't about revenge or punishment. It's not about making her suffer or teaching her a lesson like a parent scolding a child. It's about showing, through your actions, that your life remains steady and fulfilling even when she creates distance. It communicates strength without a word. The less reactive you are to her cold spells, the more she respects you. And the more she respects you, the more she feels drawn to re-engage. Because deep down, women are not attracted to men who chase endlessly. They are attracted to men who cannot be easily swayed by every emotional test. So step 2 is simple to understand, but incredibly difficult to practice. When she withdraws, resist the urge to push harder. Instead, lean back twice as much. Shift your energy away from chasing her and pour it into building yourself. This balance of detachment and self-focus is what restores the polarity of attraction. Pulling back shows her that your happiness isn't dependent on her mood swings. It reminds her that you are a man with direction, not a boy seeking validation. And that quiet strength is far more powerful than any words you could send or any promises you could make. In this second step, the assignment is clear. Do not chase her when she creates space. Respect yourself enough to step back even further, because when you stop rewarding her distance with desperate pursuit, you reclaim the frame, and she begins to feel the gravity of your absence. Step 3. Replace her with your mission. Step 3 is the foundation that separates men who constantly lose attraction from men who earn lasting respect. Replace her with your mission. Read that again, because most men skip over this truth. If you want to not only regain a woman's interest but keep it over time, she cannot sit at the center of your universe. The more you revolve around her, the faster she loses respect. Why? Because no woman wants to carry the weight of being your entire purpose. Your mission is your anchor. It is the thing that drives you forward, keeps you grounded, and gives direction to your life, no matter who stands beside you or who walks away. Without a mission, you drift. With a mission, you radiate certainty. This mission could be your career, the business you're building, your craft, your creative work, your fitness, your pursuit of mastery in any field. It doesn't matter what form it takes. As long as it demands your focus and forces you to grow, when you live for that mission first, everything else falls into alignment. But here's the tragic mistake most men make. They abandon their mission the moment they fall in love. They skip workouts. They neglect ambitions. They put aside hobbies and passions, all in the name of making her happy. At first, she may appreciate the attention. It flatters her to see you sacrifice everything for her. But soon, something subtle changes. Deep down, she begins to feel the loss. You are no longer the man who inspired her, the man with fire, focus, and drive. You've become dependent. You've become the man who needs her in order to feel whole. And that is the exact moment when attraction begins to die. Replacing her with your mission does not mean dismissing her or pretending she doesn't matter. It means putting her in the proper place, part of your life, not the reason for it. When your mission leads, she joins a life that already has momentum. When your mission falters, she feels the burden of carrying your sense of worth, and no woman desires that responsibility for long. A man in motion is magnetic. When you're busy building, creating, training, learning, achieving, you give off an energy that cannot be faked. You stop signaling neediness, and instead, you project certainty. You no longer communicate. Your behavior controls my world. You silently declare, my world moves forward, with or without your approval. Imagine this. She's been cold for a few weeks. Most men would spiral, checking her social media, overthinking every silence, typing and retyping messages to win her attention back. But the man who lives by his mission reacts differently. He pours himself into his project. He spends extra hours at the gym. He advances his side business. He masters a new skill. While she is distant, he is ascending. Soon, she notices. His confidence is higher. His time is scarce. His energy glows with forward momentum. And suddenly, the curiosity returns. She wonders what changed. She feels the shift in power. The same man who once seemed desperate for her validation is now untouchable, busy, in demand. This is the paradox. The less you revolve around her, the more she gravitates back toward you, not because you played a trick, but because you return to the essence of masculine energy, purpose. Your mission is not optional. It is the core of who you are. It sharpens your focus, directs your growth, and commands respect. It tells the world, I'm a man with direction. You can walk with me, but I will keep moving regardless. That sentence embodies the entire step. It is not about cruelty, indifference, or arrogance. It is about alignment. A man aligned with his mission is a man no woman can easily dismiss. She may resist. She may test. She may doubt, but she cannot ignore the gravity of a man who keeps moving forward. So in step 3, the task is clear. Do not let her become the axis of your existence. Center your world around your mission. Let her be part of your journey, but never the destination itself. Because when your mission leads, you don't just regain her interest, you secure her respect. And respect is the only foundation on which lasting attraction can survive. So here's the bottom line. Her hot and cold behavior isn't some random mood swing. It's a deliberate test. And most men fail because they treat her attention like oxygen, something they can't live without. But the hard truth is this: the moment she senses you need her more than she needs you, the game is already lost. That's why the 3 steps matter so much. When you stop reacting emotionally, when you pull back harder instead of chasing, and when you replace her with your mission, the dynamic flips completely. You're no longer the desperate man chasing approval. You become the steady man she's trying to figure out again. And remember, this curiosity is infinitely more powerful than pity when it comes to attraction. Now, I want to hear from you. Think back to a time when you faced a woman's hot and cold behavior. How did you respond? Did you make mistakes you learned from? Or maybe you discovered a strategy that worked? Share it in the comments. Your story might help another man here. And together, we can sharpen each other. And before you go, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications so you never miss the next lesson. Because in the upcoming video, I'm going to reveal one mistake men constantly make during the makeup phase that quietly destroys relationships. You probably think you already know what it is, but chances are you don't. Don't miss it. I'll see you in the next one.